Today we're learning 3 methods of solving proportions, and then in part 2 of the lesson that we're going to cover tomorrow, we'll learn how to set up proportions, how to write proportions, and then we can use any one of the 3 methods that we've learned to solve those proportions. All right, so capture this slide. Okay, so a proportion by definition is an equation that shows that 2 ratios are equivalent. An equation that shows that 2 ratios are equivalent. All right, that's a proportion. Okay, so first method is using equivalent ratios. With this method, I'm looking at the side of the proportion that I know both of the numbers. So I see in the denominators, I know both numbers, right? 30 and 60. So I look at those 2 numbers and I ask myself, what is the missing link between the 2 of them? How do I get from 30 to 60?
2.
I multiply by 2. Whatever my missing link is in the denominator, the same thing is in the numerator. Okay? So then, if from 30 to 60, I'm multiplying by 2, 150 times 2 is
300.
C equals 300. Okay? Equivalent ratios is very easy when there's a clear connection. Is there a clear connection between 7 and 21?
Yes.
Yep. Fill in your missing link and solve for x. So what's the missing link? What's the missing link? It's 3. So 7 times 3 is 21, and 8 times 3 is x equals 24. Now on the third one, 2 to 8, what's my missing link? 4. But now I've got to see where my variable is. It's here. So when I'm going backwards, 8 to 2, am I multiplying or dividing? Dividing, so 16 divided by 4 is 4. X equals 4. And guys, it's not always that, when I'm dividing my variables in the first ratio, it could be in the second one. I got to look, are my numbers trending up or down? That tells me multiply or divide. All right, so equivalent ratios really isn't bad when there's a clear connection between the numbers. But what if there's not? Like from 10 to 25, is there a clear missing link from 10 to 25? Is there a clear missing link from 14 to 49? Or from 27 to 12? No. So sometimes equivalent ratios is not a method that I can use. So there's another method, and it's algebra. With algebra, your key word for this method is reciprocal. Anybody remember what the reciprocal is?
Yes.
What is it?
It's when a number equals the same.
It's when you flip the fraction, right? When you multiply by the reciprocal, you're essentially flipping the fraction. So whatever number is attached to my variable, does that ring a bell? It should, because we solved equations involving division last chapter. So when I'm using algebra, couple things. The variable has to be in the numerator. So that's why you're going to see variable in the numerator on all of these. All right? Variables in the numerator. So I multiply both sides by whatever number is in my denominator. Both sides, in this case, by 25. Now, guys, at this point, put this in your calculator. 25 times, hit your fraction button, 6 over 10. Just do that. There's no sense in making a silly mistake here. Now, if you have to do it by hand, cross reduce, 5 and 2, 30 over 2, x equals 15. But you don't have to do all that work. Just put it in your calculator. I want you to try to solve B. All right, so what do I multiply both sides by? What? 49. 49 is attached to my variable. Multiply both sides by 49. What did I tell you to do? Just put it in your calculator. 49 times, hit your fraction button, 4 over 14. Doing it by hand, cross reduce, 7 and 2, 28 over 2, m equals 14. All right, do C. By both sides by what? 27. All right, cross reduce, 4 and 9, 81 over 4. So C equals what? 20.25. 81 divided by 4. Again, you should not get that part wrong. Put it in your calculator. 9 over 12 times 27. Boom, done. Change it to a decimal. Okay? So that's algebra. One more method. Cross products. Now, with cross products, these work 100% of the time. You don't have to make sure that, there's a clear missing link. You don't have to make sure your variable's in your numerator. It works every single time. So this is our preferred method for solving proportions. You still have to know the other two methods, but this is our preferred method. So cross products is exactly what it sounds like. It's multiplying the terms that are cross or diagonal from each other. 2 times D is 2D. 9 times 3 is 27. How do I solve for D? Nope. I'm already multiplying. Divide both sides by 2. You must have this work on your homework to get credit. You cannot simply just do it in your head. D equals 13 and a half. I want you to try to set up the second one. Do your cross products and try to set up your second equation. Okay, so 5.5c equals what's 2.2 times 11? What is it? What is it? 24.2. Don't know how you got 1. 24.2. Divide both sides by 5.5. And what do you get? C equals 4.4. All right, and that's cross products, guys. So we're going to wrap up. That's part 1 for our proportions lesson.